This is Coping with Donald. I'm Phil. I was just talking for, I guess, about 6 minutes and I realized I didn't have this on. That's a boomer thing right there, huh? Today I want to talk about health insurance. One thing about being a boomer is you were alive during a lot of stuff that people don't talk about now. In the case of boomers, we were young adults in the 70s and the 80s. So we have memories. We can say firsthand what was happening. And I can say that when I came down to Florida in the 1990s, I hooked up with the post office. I became a rural carrier associate. That meant I was on call, but I couldn't have another job. And if they never called me in, I got absolutely no money. In addition to that, we had absolutely no benefits. And I wound up doing this for 9 years. And I always think that this was the push to actually get me through 24 to 25 years of being career after that. Those 9 years were so scary that I wouldn't let myself quit. So, in those 9 years, we didn't even get paid Christmas or anything like that. Nothing. We had to have no health insurance through the post office. They offered us nothing. They didn't offer us a supplement. They didn't offer us anything. We weren't able to participate in a group plan through the post office even at that time. Later on, they went to where you could participate in a group plan, but you had to pay all of it, and then they started paying part of it because they're getting so desperate for people who haven't been in jail or had drug charges, but they're probably loosening up on that too. So that's just my snarky thought, okay? But anyway, back in the 1990s, I'll tell you what it was like in Florida without health care, okay? Because nobody could afford it. Just like no one can afford it now if you're paying the full freight. The Republicans would come on TV all the time when Hillary Clinton proposed a health care plan that was called Hillary Care and derided by, I don't know, everybody. Back in the 1990s, way before um, the Health Care Obama Act, the ACA, if you were sick and you lost your health insurance because your health insurance just decided not to cover you anymore, or you lost your job, you were doomed. Nobody would pick you up. No other health insurance would pick you up. If they did, it was for an astronomical cost that you would never cover. So basically, you would go bankrupt. You also couldn't cover your children until they were like 26. That was also part of the ACA. Just two basic things outside of money. Okay? Um, in the 1990s, the Republicans would come on TV to fight Hillary care, and they would say, besides talking about death panels deciding who lives and who dies, I mean, basically, if you don't have any health care and you get sick, they were deciding who died. But the Republicans would come on and say, let's wait 20 years and see what happens. Even though people have been complaining about this for a couple of decades, let's wait another 20 years and see what happens. 20 years is half of one's working career. All right? We had a senator from Florida, United States Senator, went to the Capitol. You get two senators from Florida, okay? And one of them was a Republican who was married, and his wife came down with breast cancer. This is at the same time they're knocking coverage. She went on this campaign around the state that I'm sure in her heart she had the right reason for doing it, but it came off as very not genuine. Disingenuine, I believe the word is. And she was talking about the need for early detection. If you're a woman, get your breasts checked. You need early detention. And every time I saw that, I was thinking, why? You're not going to have the money to get it treated anyway. People in Florida back then were making $5 an hour. Okay? And Republicans now, after waiting 20 years, were faced with the Affordable Care Act, ACA, otherwise known as Obamacare. And they were so pissed off. They demanded this change and that change. And Obama actually gave in to some of their changes and won 0 votes from the Republicans. That's how many people voted for it 15 years ago. So now, all the Republicans have done since is to try to kill it. They're on the road now because the ACA, part of the whole ACA plan, was to require subsidies for people who could not afford it. And the subsidies would bring down the premiums to something they could at least try to pay. As many of us know, sometimes they come with $10,000 deductibles, etc., etc. But either way, it was something to, in essence, cover you if you had something that would kill you. At least you could get some treatment for it. That was better than what we did back in the 1990s. People would have children that would get sick with cancer. They would hold barbecues in a park. They'd have dunk tanks and clowns and apple pie contests and things like that. And they try to raise, I don't know, $800, $1,000, which, of course, as you would know, is just a pittance compared to most medical bills. It looks like the Republicans want to go back to that. They have Donald Trump is now saying that he wants to cut subsidies even more for the ACA. This is after kicking all these people off of Medicare. We're going to have a large amount of Americans not covered. I guess they'll make GoFundMes. How many GoFundMes can be funded? A lot of people would say, well, we need the savings. Look at our budget deficit. Your savings aren't going to be used to fill the budget gap. They're just taking away from people so they won't get health care. They're cutting taxes on the wealthiest. And Trump wants to increase military spending by 50% next year. $1.5 trillion instead of $1 trillion, roughly. There's no savings that you're going to get from this that are going to lower the budget deficit. It's not going to happen. You could get rid of like anything that even in a tiny way feels like it's going to help the poor from the federal government, and you're still going to have a bigger budget deficit next year than you will this year. The only thing they're trying to accomplish is to not have any social programs at all, and for the poor to truly suffer. And I know a lot of people would say, I don't want to pay for other people's health care. Well, neither do I. But you have to have a society. Okay? I don't want to pay for a golden dome, which is a stupid concept that probably will never happen I know it won't happen in my lifetime. Probably won't happen in any middle-aged person's lifetime as well. Maybe even our grandkids, boomers' grandkids, might not even see it, but it'll be a great way to push a lot of money around. I don't want to pay for ICE. I don't want to pay for ICE at all. But that doesn't come into consideration when you're thinking of the overall benefit to a nation, the overall structure that a nation needs in order to thrive. And to have that, you have to have some form of social assistance for the poor, something. Especially when the lower middle class, working themselves to the bone, can't even afford to pay the monthly bills, which is why they're not saving any money. You have a lot of people, younger people, and they blame boomers. Everything's the boomers' fault. They should have taken care of us, but they didn't. You know what? They're right. At least on this health care, they're right. They'd say, why save? Something will happen and the money will all be gone. Now, usually they use that in context of owning a home and the taxes and insurance go way up and things like that. Might as well spend the money now and not save for retirement. Well, number one, you do overestimate overestimate your ability to work when you get older, plus your ability to convince your employer that they want to keep you on, even if you do a great job. But two, I how can you say that they're wrong? Any one medical problem and any savings that they accumulate over 6, 8, 10 years are gone. They're right. We went, the boomers, when they were young, they started by denying there was a problem. Then they thought waiting 20 years would fix it. Then they put in, instead of Medicare for all or something along those lines, they put in the ACA because that's all they were allowed to pass. Then they took away the subsidies for the ACA. And now they're telling the kids, you know what? Make sure you have a lot of kids so that we know our Medicare is funded and our Social Security is funded. You're damn right we failed the young, especially on this. Who wants to have kids and then not be able to insure them and watch them suffer? Watch them not be able to go to school, if there even are schools, after they get rid of the education departments. But JD Vance, he'll come out. Hey, gotta have lots of kids. I'll give you $5 if you have a kid. Actually, the number is 1,000. And then even if they did it every year for the child, they'd have like $20,000 by the time it was time to go to college, and by that time, that'll probably fund the first month. Yes, we have failed our children and their children. I tell my daughter all the time, I'm really sorry. I'm an old boomer now. Well, I guess for a boomer, I'm like a little on the young side, believe it or not. But I'm a boomer. We're going to be departing this earth one day, and I am ashamed to be leaving this country to you in the shape that it is in, when it could have been so much better for the people of the United States. And I only covered health care today. All right? You want to talk about foreign affairs? Oh my God. I know this was a rough coping with Donald, but you got to get rough sometimes. Leave your comments below. Tell me how poor people should die, or whatever it is you want to tell me. Or, no, there's no way I'm making $15 an hour. I mean, there's no way you can say you can't afford $10,000 a month. Like and subscribe. My goal now is 30 subscribers. We're up to 26, which is, well, I don't know. I don't think I'm subscribed. I don't think I can subscribe to my own channel. But I would say I'm about 20 ahead of the highest number I ever thought I could get. So, this has been Coping with Donald. Let's hope we can cope with the problem for our children's sake, for our grandchildren's sake. Let's stop the fraud that's going on right now in Washington. Make moves towards balancing the budget without crushing social programs in a responsible way. Let's take back our communities from the devastating effects of ICE, which, by the way, in Minnesota now, they're mobilizing 1,500 paratroopers, I guess, to fly in and land in Minnesota. We are in a desperate way. Have a good Sunday.